full board meeting for the single.
Recording in progress.
I'd like to start the full board hearing for the Single Family Design Board for June 16th. And we have a roll call. We have a quorum, even though I think we're missing somebody.
I'll take the roll call really quickly. I'll begin with Vice Chair Sherry,
Yes.
Board Member Mosley.
Yes.
And Board Member Richards.
Yes.
We have quorum. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so public comment.
Thank you, Vice Chair Sherry. At this time, I don't have any speaker slips for in-person public comment for general. If anyone in the room would like to speak under general public comment, they can come up to the podium at this time. Although I'm not seeing any movement, we do not have any participants online right now, and we didn't receive any written correspondence, so I'll give it back to you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the Single Family Design Board meeting of June 2nd. That was a long meeting. So I'll make a motion for approval of those minutes.
I'll second that.
Okay, I'll begin with Board Member Mosley,
Yes.
Board Member Richards,
Yes.
and Vice Chair Sherry.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the Single Family Design Board consent meeting of June 2nd, 2025.
And I believe Chair Lewis was a reviewer here, but I didn't receive any comments from her.
Okay, there, it was an easy one as well, I think. And, yeah. Would anybody like to make a motion for that agenda item?
I can do that. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the consent meeting, June 2nd.
Second.
Okay, I'll begin with Board Member Richards
Yes.
and Board Member Mosley
Yes.
and Vice Chair Sherry.
I'm abstaining because I had an item on the agenda.
Okay,
So we have a quorum, so, but I'm abstaining.
Yes,
So do we have to table it until
because that
Member
won't pass
Graffiti
with 2 out
gets
of 5.
here?
That won't
Yeah,
pass. Yeah.
okay. Sorry, I should have thought about that before. So we're going to table the motion for the approval of the minutes of the Single Family Design Board meeting of June 2nd until we have a quorum due to my abstention because of conflict of interest. And we'll move on to the approval of the minutes of the Single Family Design Board consent meeting. The ratification of the action taken on the consent calendar of June 9th and June 16th.
Great. Thank you. So just for reference, the items for ratification were posted on today's full board agenda. For June 9th, the actions are listed there, but for June 16th, item 1715 Gillespie Street was granted project design approval and final approval as submitted. And item 2212 State Street was granted project design approval and final approval as submitted.
Thank you. Do we take a motion for that?
Yes, you would have to make a motion for ratification, and you can do it for both
I'll make a motion for that
dates.
ratification for the consent calendar of June 9th and June 16th.
Second.
Oh, yeah, because I don't have any abstentions. So we're going to be okay.
Perfect. I'll begin with Board Member Mosley,
Yes.
Board Member Richards,
Yes.
and Vice Chair Sherry.
Yes.
That motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, so announcements from staff.
Yes. So we did have the successful reappointments of Board Member Graffiti and Vice Chair Sherry. So thank you guys, and looking forward to your continued participation. My second item to note is that the single-family streamlining project is scheduled at City Council tomorrow at 3:30. So that's on a Tuesday, June 17th. Please attend in person or virtually to hear about upcoming changes staff has been hard at work on. The hearing will be to introduce the project to council before going to the Planning Commission for before a formal recommendation to the council for adoption. And my third announcement is that item 2, that was Mountain Avenue with no address, planning case number 2025-00217, has been postponed and continued indefinitely by the applicant, so will not be heard today. So we're only here for item 1, and that is all. Thank you.
Sebastian, can I
Yes.
interject? I just clarified with admin staff, that motion will pass with the abstain vote. So,
Oh, great.
That consent motion?
So
good
do
to
I
go.
need to reopen item C?
We don't have to
final
reopen it.
vote?
We'll count it as passed.
Huh?
We'll count it as passed. We don't have to reopen it.
Okay, without a formal roll call.
Yeah, because I took the roll
'Cause we
call.
did it.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're good.
Great.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you.
For the clarification.
So moving on to item 1, which is 2310 Chapala Street. This is, oh,
Vice Chair Sherry, I can read the project description if you'd like.
Really?
Yes, to make your life a little bit easier.
love that. Know
All
me.
right. Yeah, so this is 2310 Chapala Street, and this item is here for conceptual review. The 17,012 square foot lot is developed with a one-story, 2,456 square foot non-residential structure, church, and associated parking lot. The project consists of converting the church to a single-unit residence with a 37 square foot addition, resulting in a 2,493 square foot residence, a detached 609 square foot garage with a 194 square foot workshop, and 800 square foot accessory dwelling unit, EDU, above are also proposed. Review and approval by the staff hearing officer is required for an accessory building floor area modification for the floor area of a single detached accessory building to exceed the 1,250 square foot maximum. The proposed total square footage is 77% of the maximum guideline floor to lot area ratio without the ADU and 95% with the ADU. The existing church parking lot will be demolished and hydromulched until such time as approvals for the development of future parcel 2 are sought. No final appealable decision will take place at this hearing. The staff hearing officer requests design comments for an accessory building floor area modification. Neighborhood preservation findings will be required when the project is reviewed for project design approval. And this was last reviewed under PRE 2024-00032 for a one-time pre-application consultation on March 25th, 2024. And staff comments, I believe we have some from.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Herrickson, SFDB, Vice Chair Sherry. Carly Ernest, Associate Planner, I'm the case planner for this project, and I think the project description covered most of it, but just as to where we are in the process, the application is still deemed complete. They are here for comments before they head to the staff hearing officer, who is the decision maker of the modification. They also were here last March. We have those minutes available, but the project has been revised to omit the lot split since it was last year. So not all of the comments in that previous motion will be applicable, and the applicant can speak to that as well. But the modification they're here for is one, or that we're requesting your comments on for consideration of the staff hearing officer, is that one accessory building floor area modification. And I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, your name for the record.
Heidi Jones, agent for the owner. We'll have our team introduce ourselves, but we're glad to be back here today after a bit of delay working through fund planning issues. So as staff mentioned, lot split is not proposed at this time. It just doesn't align with the current goals of the owner to go forward with the conversion of the church. So that will be deferred. We did go to Street Tree Advisory Committee and Park and Rec Commission and got approval for the street tree removal and replacement. I've had some outreach with 3 or 4 neighbors talking, and Sam and I met with one of the neighbors about adjacent fence, a shared fence along the property line, and we think that meets the goals of that conversation and meeting, and found out some good information from the neighbors and had nice participation. And the existing oak tree is going to be protected. So I'm here if you have any other questions, and we'll give our presentation.
All right, Anthony Grumbine with Harrison Design.
Jing Xue with Harrison Design.
Sam Maphis with Earthform Design.
All right. All right, so hopefully this won't take as long as your other agendas you can beat the 3:21 leave time.
Our goal is to get out of here by 7.
We have different goals.
So the project we're presenting, good afternoon, dear members of the board. The project we're representing today is located at 2310 Chapala Street, located at the corner of Chapala and West Pueblo. And here we have an aerial view. And as you can see on the screen, the red box is our project site. So currently on the site is a church building that was constructed in 1947, and it looks like it hasn't changed much since it was built. And an asphalt parking lot here. And grade-wise, the parking lot is about 2 feet to 3 feet above the grade of the church building. And the site elevation-wise, Pueblo goes up this way, and Chapala drops this way before it picks up after a couple more houses outside this image. So the project we're presenting today includes renovation and exterior remodel of the church building, and the proposed garage and ADU above, hydro mulch, the asphalt parking lot, landscape improvement, and public improvement on the sidewalk. So the client of this project are of design background themselves, and they're Santa Barbara locals. So they are very aware and appreciative of the beautiful neighborhood compatibility and quality design, quality construction. So we worked closely with them to come up with our proposals. And here on this page, we have the existing site plan where you can see the church building here and the asphalt. And for reference, the neighboring lots are about a third of these and are typically about 5,200 square foot lots. So pretty small, and as a result, most of the neighboring buildings are very compact, and many of them have 2 stories. So the proposed design we have on this page, as you can see here with the different hatch, we have a very small addition in the back, 48 square feet only. Here we have a little furred out bay, which we'll dive into on the elevations. And the proposed garage building with ADU above is here, and we took several approach in combination to reduce the visual impact and make sure it's compatible with the neighborhood. So that includes pushing the building as far to the back as we can, and as you can see here, we're only limited by the open yard size, and introducing a hipped roof in the front to reduce the visual impact. And you can see on the cover page a little vignette sketch to make sure it's less obvious. And also from a design element point, we try to introduce more, lost it. Okay, we're back. So we try to bring more attention to the street level, and that in combination with landscape's beautiful design, we're trying very hard to minimize the visual impact of this structure. And also we have reduced the square footage as much as we can since our hearing last year, without compromising the modern day living. So now we worked closely with civil and landscape team to meet the stormwater drainage requirements and resolving any drainage issue that the neighbors brought up before. So these are all the civil teams drawing from Coast Engineering. And
They work, but they're boring to look at.
so here we have the demo and proposed church building floor plan, which you can see here, a very small dashed area of us trying to make the floor plan more efficient. And existing elevation of the church building, because of the function of it and to accommodate for the pews, most of these windows are 5 foot plus sill height. So it only made sense for us to change them. And also this is the street front elevation. And as you can see, it doesn't really speak the language of a residential building. And we worked closely with the client to give it the curb appeal and also to bring charm to the neighborhood. So these are the proposed elevations. And we give the most attention to the front, where we broke down the horizontalness of the facade and introduced this little central bay just a slight furring out. And we introduced arched windows with slope sill, decorative wrought iron window grills, and we utilized this existing arch and added a wooden door, so it's both for function and added charm to it. Material-wise, we're keeping the existing tile roof and repair any that's broken. And for most of the doors and windows, they're steel with the dark black stain color. And for the few wooden doors and the posts, we're proposing this grayish blue color that's inspired by the Lower Theater, as you can see here. Now going to the garage and ADU building, you can see the floor plan's really compact. And here on the street side elevation, so similar to the main house, but we have metal clad windows and doors for most of them of a greenish blue color. So it's a little different from the house, but similarly, all the wooden elements have this dark muted blue color, which is more muted on this screen than I think what it shows up there. And here we introduced a decorative archway for this pedestrian door leading to a patio for the ADU. And this is a nod to the arch of the church building, and also it helps conceal the retaining wall and the 3-foot grade change behind it. We also included a few pages of architectural details. So the windows and doors are carefully thought of, and some profiles where they occur, decorative window, and the arch profile. So we put a lot of thought into coming up with a sensible design to the neighborhood. Now I'll hand it to Sam to talk about the landscape design.
Thank you, Ching. If you could go to the first L1 page, I'll kind of go through the site plan. As was mentioned, the high-quality nature of the existing architecture and the direction that we're taking it with the new ADU in the garage. The outside, we had the same kind of quality upgrade that we'd like to bring to the street front. So as you come in the entry gate, you can come into that courtyard between now the new ADU building and the main residence. There's a beautiful porch there. We're going to put planting against the ADU, some Kentia palms to kind of break up the 2-story mass in that little walkway. We've also created a nice little backyard for the main residence that's adjacent to and underneath the oak tree. We have an arborist report because it's a very large oak tree that really sits up against the neighbor's back property line, and we've taken care to put in a dry stack stone wall to account for drainage and account for maybe a minor bit of encroachment. But in the arborist report, it talks about the taking away of the parking lot and creating open air and open soil on the other parcel or the other lot that we're hydromulching. That benefit offsets some of the cutting or the small wall that we'll build to create a little turf and a little outdoor lawn space. So a nice little private space there. The ADU, as you come in on the south side, has a walkway that goes to a little private space in the back before you go up the stairs. So there's a little outdoor kind of separate private space there. There's a small wall to kind of retain the grade change of 2 to 3 feet with the fence on top. So there'll be privacy from that separate lot on the corner. Moving around to the north side, we've got nice little patios adjacent to the openings of the doors coming out to what would be brick bordered gravel. And those little landings would be brick, so we'd create some nice quality paving material with some gravel, and that, simply reduces some of our landscape area, but we'd like to put some fruit trees along that north side. It gets good south light. There's a very large Eugenia hedge on the property line that is growing from the neighbor. And Heidi mentioned that we met with that northern neighbor, talked to her about the screening and the privacy issues that she would have with this new development, and she was fine in maintaining that Eugenia hedge and bringing it down and making it and keeping it denser. But we're also going to be adding a fence on the inside or on our property line to create a 6-foot fence along that north line. So the direct privacy issue of one lot to another will be accounted for with that fencing. We've got a gate that comes out towards the street and a small walkway, a small little hedge that separates this little sitting area, possibly to look at the sunset from the street sidewalk. So we're creating nice little space in the front yard that's very low and sustainable, low maintenance. The parkway, we're going to be planting very minimal planting in there and gravel, so we're trying to dress up that parkway underneath the liquid ambers. As mentioned, we're taking out a tree for the driveway, but we're replacing it with another tree to the right towards the corner. We've taken it to Parks and Rec, and that was approved, and the street trees are approved for both the adjacent street on the lot that is empty and also Chapala. So I think we've accounted for a real nice landscape solution for this nice small lot, for quality spaces on the interior, and a very nice presentation to the public in the street side.
I just want to add one thing, Sam, because I know it's important to Ms. Brisk, the neighbor. The fence is actually going to go from 6 feet and step up to 8 and maintain the.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten we
Yeah,
wanted to
no problem.
maximize the height. Yep. Any questions about the site plan or how that works?
We're not in questions yet. We do, but
I'll
we
be patient.
we can't move
I'm
forward.
ready for them.
So yeah, so I think that completes our presentation, and yeah, happy to answer any questions, and yeah. And, oh, actually, there was one more thing to mention. So we did drop from the last time, we tightened in the ADU a little bit to get it down to 800 square feet. It was, I think, 850 or something before. And then we also lowered the plate by a foot as well. It was a 9-foot plate on both the bottom and the top. And one of the comments from before had been about some height things. And so we dropped that a little bit as well. So to a sort of minimal amount that we thought was reasonable for residents. And I think that's it. Yeah. All right. That concludes our presentation.
Okay, so we're moving on to public comment.
Thank you, Vice Chair Sherry. At this time, I don't have any speaker slips for in-person public comment for this item, though if anyone in the audience would like to speak on this item, they can come up to the podium now. But I'm not seeing any movement. We do not have any participants online still, and we did not receive any written correspondence for this item, so I'm going to give it back to you.
Thank you. Before we continue, I have a question for staff. Is Board Member Graffiti coming to the meeting or not? She's not coming. Okay, did we know that? Oh, okay, because her name tag was out, so I just thought she was going to be here. So she's not coming. Okay, so I'd like to request, unfortunately, a few-minute recess because I have an emergency and I can't leave the room, and normally I would. So I apologize, but can we call for just a few-minute recess?
Sure. How long? 10 minutes?
No, I don't even need that long.
Okay.
Something came up and it needs my immediate attention.
Sure, absolutely.
Sorry about that, you guys.
So just for time, I guess we'll just call it for 10 minutes, just so we can keep track. and-
We can just say 5 minutes.
5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Thank you
Thank you.
guys so much. sorry about that. So we can reconvene the meeting now.
All righty, okay.
Public comment, we ready?
Yes. We're gonna, you want to reopen public comment, please, because of this.
Okay, so Bill, if you would like to come up to the podium, this will be Bill Chipless. 1 second.
Okay. We submitted an email after public comment, or after a submission deadline, when these people were here in March of 2024, I guess. Several residents took exception to the use of the word workshop in the description of the project, because that neighborhood is not zoned for a working workshop, so I thought we were going to substitute some other term to denote that it wasn't actually a business, but just a little workshop that the residents were going to use not for business purposes.
I'm so sorry, I can't hear you. Can you speak up, because you said something about a workshop, but I didn't hear everything you said.
Yeah, when they were here before, several residents took exception to the use of the word workshop because it implies a business entity, and the area is not zoned for businesses. So I thought we were going to change that term to some other term. It didn't, couldn't be construed as all business.
Yeah, but I'm not supposed to
Okay.
comment on public comment,
Okay.
so.
Anyway. I'm gonna
Does
send
staff have
we send
an
an email.
answer to?
Yes, Vice Chair Sherry, and to the public commenter, the city zoning ordinance defines workshop as an accessory building that's allowed in single-unit residential zones. It's, according to the municipal code and city's definition, it's not associated with the commercial use. It's strictly residential and allowed in the zone, and there will be no commercial aspect to the property.
We can close public comment now. That was the only speaker we had.
So we don't have any virtual public comment? Okay. Okay, so questions from the board?
I have only a couple, actually from this, the elevation, I mean, like it's showing here in the street section. Is that a shadow of that part, the one that arched window? Is it a shadow or is it a downspout?
It's a shadow.
It's the shadow, okay, just wanted to clarify that. And there was a fence that was proposed on behind the ADU, which I believe it's like east side. I just wanted to know, like, how tall is that? You guys
That
mentioned-
is a 6 foot, well, it's 8 feet on the property line, but we might have a step to drop it down to 6 feet so that it's not 8 foot coming to the 90-degree and back to the building. The intent is it kind of tucks underneath the stairs and creates a little private space for the
So-
entrance to the ADU.
So can you show on the plan, like, where does the fence start and ends?
It starts at the front of the ADU, and there's a gate right there.
Oh,
And then
I
it
see.
runs along the top of the wall all the way to that corner where the arrow is, and then it goes back north, and then 45's back underneath and attaches to the stair.
And is there a fence proposed at the south of the property and the west of the property? Or it's open and it's only the landscape?
South,
It's
there's,
like that side?
oh, yes, there's a little section of fence right there and a gate, so that separates the garage parking area and the entry to the auto court, you'd call it. And then there's a little fence along the walkway that has a small return to kind of hide the backup space and the asphalt from that entry walkway, excuse me.
There is a detail on one of these sheets too in the lower corner.
It shows a wood fence with a
Yeah.
cap to match the other side.
So there's no fence on the property line or the other side, if you scroll to the right, the south of the,
Oh, no, there's no fence on the open white area, no
No,
fence.
no
That's open
fence, okay.
landscape and hydromulch,
okay. And I think,
street trees.
okay, thank you. That was all my questions.
Sure. Could you go to that fence detail, just so we can look at that?
It's very simple. I think it's one more. One more. There it is.
This one looks like the one that's along the western property line, and then they had that little picket fence example on the other, the existing.
And we talked about that, maybe putting a cap on that, but it's a simple board fence. 8 steps down to 6, steps down to 5.
That's the design for the south fence.
The north fence that's along the property line
thought
to
you
the
were
neighbor.
asking-
Yeah, I was,
Question for the
And the
south
south fence, that same fence will be on top of the wall.
I think he's asking what the design of the,
yeah, is
The
it?
boards?
So between the buildings, that little gate, and then what wraps basically the side between the vacant lot,
Right,
is that a metal fence? Do you have a detail of what that's going to be?
on top of the wall?
On
what's the
top
detail of the
both,
fence
yeah.
on the south side of the property between the vacant lot and the new two-story building?
Same wood fence,
Same with fence.
Okay.
same wood fence.
And then that's also what's going to be between the two structures that kind of marries into
The back
the
of the
garage?
stair?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That'll be a continuous, continuity, matching fence.
And then I guess my other question would be, are you guys planning on demolishing those existing kind of low walls that wrap the parking lot as part of this?
Yes, because we're eating into part of the parking lot and all the asphalt's going away, so those walls will be demolished.
Okay.
And a new wall will be built on our south property line to hold back that, retain that grade.
Okay. And then a question for the architect. If we could go to the elevations and of that garage structure, I just want to understand, it looks like there's a water table detail that wraps part of the building. Could you show me where that is in plan?
Yes, it's more like a profile to break down the elevation, and in plan, it will go from here and then just stop here.
Okay, so it's just the front and then
It's really
that
just the
side.
front, and we found the corner to terminate it.
Okay. I think those are all my questions.
Okay. I had a question. You said there was a lot split going on too?
Not at this time. There was at one point and maybe in the future, but at this time it was getting too complicated and holding up the priority to convert the church. So it's still on the table for some future, but it's not proposed right now with this application any longer.
Okay, and where's the private open yard area for the church conversion to residence?
It's here.
So that's the 1,250 square foot required
Yeah.
open yard.
And then we're allowed to encroach into it with the ADU.
You're allowed to encroach into it for the ADU?
For the ADU patio.
Oh, I see, because the ADU patio is just taking up part of that, and you're allowed
yes.
to do that. Okay, good. All right. I don't have any more questions. Comments?
Okay.
Board Member Mosley.
I think it's a nice, charming project, and it's adding up to the neighborhood, especially with that amount of hardscape. I know that part of it will remain with the existing lot that you are not touching now, the part, but hopefully that will be the next phase. It is pretty charming from the what is this? The West Street. And I like the color palette and with the neighborhood, and especially with the adjacent neighbor. I try to imagine the landscape. I don't think you guys have a landscape shown like on elevations, but just maybe it's like a comment or question that like the part that we're looking at now, the street section, like how tall the landscape in front of it will be. Is it like a 42-inch or it's higher?
Less than 42 because of the
Okay.
driveway clearance, but it will be a 36-inch high hedge. There'll be planting on the inside of that private hedge, and there'll be a palm tree just to the left of the archway entry.
Okay.
And there'll be an olive tree on either side of the property, both north and south,
Yeah, and I think,
framing the building.
thank you. The FAR, which is 95% with the ADU, I don't think it's an issue from my perspective, and I want to hear from my fellow board members to see what do they think. But the Balkan scale, with the addition of all the landscape and the fact that the ADU is proposed with a setback and it's behind the existing building, I don't think that there's an issue for the Balkan scale of the project. So the 95%, I don't think it's an issue for us. I think that's all for my comments.
Vice Chair Sherry, if I may, just to remind the board, if you can comment on actually the accessory building floor area modification. So it's unrelated to the FAR percentages. It's about the total size of that detached accessory building. The maximum allowed is 1,250 square feet, but the combined size of the detached garage, workshop, and ADU is 1,603 square feet, so it's exceeding that allowance by 350 square feet. So if you can comment on just that building is exceeding that for the staff hearing officer to consider. Thank you.
You're welcome. Just for clarification, the 1,250 square feet is the combined garage and ADU. So I think that in order for us to answer that question, I'd like to go back to question. Can we see the floor plan of the lower level of the garage? And that would help us.
That will help us, yeah, definitely.
And the area behind is the workshop.
And as a note, if I may.
Yeah.
A big driver of the garage is obviously the ADU above and trying to get a two-bedroom
I
to fit.
could see
And
that.
the workshop is, an added bonus space to work on things, but it's really, the main purpose of it is just so that the above, it won't have a weird design with an 800 square foot ADU over a 500 square foot garage, or, roughly there. So it was for that purpose, and it was towards the back, so the workshop is sort of became the bonus, but it's really the ADU as the driver.
I gathered that much. Thank you.
Okay, just to wrap up my comments, I don't think the Balkan scale, because it's larger than the 1,250 square foot maximum, with the design and especially with having the stair on the north side, the elevation is breaking down. And I believe applicant mentioned that they have lowered the pitch of the roof, and it has a design that it's helping to show lower. It has from the west elevation, it's breaking, so it's helping. So I think I support the size, bulk, and scale of the ADU with the workshop, and I don't have any negative comment about it. Board Member Richards?
I agree, I don't have an issue with the floor area size, but I do think that the structure is just a little, it feels tall because you have so many walls that are uninterrupted. I would like to see, take some of those details that are going on with the existing church and how the windows articulated with either a metal grill or a plaster grill or something to kind of give it a little bit more character, because right now with just those blank two-story walls, it feels a little heavy. And then so it looks like the gate for the main house is articulated with a little bit more detail as well to the ADU gate. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the idea was trying to play the main and versus the sort of the chauffeur's quarters, cottage kind of look, and sort of a manger minor, give them a little more detail and importance to the main house.
Yes, to emphasize the hierarchy between the main house and an accessory structure.
Yeah, I think that's a good good mantra to take, and I think that could be that same sort of logic could be applied with how a lot of the other openings and sizes and are articulated. So.
Thank you, Board Member Richards. So, actually, that's one of the questions that I was asking myself before you just answered it about the decision on the fenestrations for the second story, and I can understand that, but because it is a two-story building, you're going to see it more than the other ones. So I'm used to seeing more of the simplicity or the downplaying of the detailing of an accessory building or a garage on a one-story building instead of the building itself that is going to become the prominent building that you see visibly from the street. But I also, at the same time, understand why you did it. So I'd kind of like to see a study to confirm that, maybe it's a street view with the landscaping that shows, because if the landscaping is 42 inches in front of the house, then you should be able to see the main house. But I do have a little bit of a concern, as Board Member Richards said, about the fact that that is going to be a new two-story building, and it's more prominent. It's a little more prominent than the one-story. Can you go to the church conversion front elevation with the arch window in the middle? And are those, this is kind of a question comment, are those windows to the sides of the arch with the grill over them, are they existing? I forgot. No, they're not.
Proposed.
So I almost feel like those should be lowered a little bit. But, I also respect the architect's design sensibility, but to me, it seems like they just are slightly higher than they need to be, and that if the header was in line with the spring to the half round, it might balance that front elevation just a little bit. If the applicant agrees, then I'll put that in the motion. If you have a reason, then I'm okay with opening it up for interpretation right now, since we don't have another agenda item. Second.
Yeah, I think it'd be worth a study. I
Okay.
think there was some function of the bedroom inside and some of the layout space, but I think that's definitely worth.
Okay.
This is at conceptual, so I think we definitely can come back with that, looking at that a little
Okay.
more as well, and with the owner as well, and seeing how they want that to function.
Okay, good. I appreciate the attention to preserving the tree. Thank you. And the method that you're doing that. And then just one more thing, I'd like to look, even though, because I remember seeing this before, and I wanted to make sure there were no minutes from, are we allowed to look at what we said in the last meeting? Or does it not apply at all, and we should just forget that we ever saw it before?
We can look at them as a reference. Some of the comments do still apply to the design. I think the major change was more of a zoning thing with the lot split no longer proposed and some of the modifications that were required, but I think the design has.
Anthony, could you go to the tab that says minutes?
Yeah, and
It might not be in there.
it is up there.
Okay.
And Vice Chair, I just wanted to also clarify is that the difference between a pre-application consultation is that unlike as if this wasn't technically like the first hearing for the project, meaning that the comments that were made back then aren't necessarily binding to today's comments that you have now. So if you feel that the design has changed, you don't have to abide by these comments, essentially. I just want to clarify that, just because it was for a pre-application, so it's a little bit
But we can
different.
refer to them just.
You can if you'd like, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Just one second, I just wanted to look at them. all right.
And just so you know, we were looking at those when.
I know, I can see that.
Yeah.
I just
when we
wanted
were
to see the minutes. Okay,
addressing.
thanks.
Have it here.
There are notes. See, you guys are so smart. So,
Last comment question? Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, the fence that you guys showed, and apparently it's all the fences are that wood fence. Is there a specific color proposed for that, or it's just like the?
Sort of natural wood, I
natural
think,
wood?
just a warm wood color, a cedar
Natural
type
stain.
color, natural stain. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Does anybody want to make a motion? No? Okay, I'll make a motion for indefinite continuance to the staff hearing officer with the following comments. The project is aesthetically compatible with the existing surrounding neighborhood, and other examples of the Spanish colonial revival style. The board appreciates the simplicity of the massing of the proposed garage and accessory dwelling unit above. And as it is also compatible with the existing church conversion structure. The board is comfortable with the proposed square footages being over that allowed under the ordinance, and understands the reasoning behind the square footages in order to achieve an appropriate sized dwelling unit above the garage. Study the proposed fenestrations for the new structure, and their appropriateness in terms of the proposed use of that structure being secondary to the residence adjacent to it. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. And I do mean study, we're not saying to do it, it's just a study. Study the grilled windows to the sides of the proposed arch window on the front elevation of the residence. The height of that header. The board appreciates the protection measures being proposed for the existing oak tree. And that's my motion. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Any comments? No comments? Okay, roll call.
Thank you, Vice Chair Sherry. I'll begin with Board Member Mosley,
Yes.
Board Member Richards,
Yes.
and Vice Chair Sherry.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
And for item 2, I just wanted to re-announce if anybody came here for Mountain Avenue, this project was continued indefinitely by the applicant, so it will not be here today because the applicant will not be presenting Mountain Avenue. So with that,
And
Vice Chair.
with that, we will adjourn the full board meeting for June 16th for the Single Family Design Board.
Great, thank you.